from a low life, but now people call me the king. Tearing it up with every lyric that I bring to the table. Because I'm willing and able, I'm in more homes than Comcast cable. I got the skill that'll rattle your brain. I'm a threat like Saddam Hussein, everybody know my name. Joe Habib's a top soldier, kid they should have told you, you really need to pack a lunch. My words hit hard just like a Tyson punch, so give me a chance, I bet you I can make you dance. Show me your girl, I bet you I get in her pants. I'm breaking egos and money is what I'm stacking. Joe Habib on the mic, you know I'm down for action. Shout out to Make Beats Sir and the Beat Smith and the whole Rope a Dope radio crew. Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? You know, a lot of people, they love to come on here and they like to criticize me and say that I'm biased towards certain fighters and I only criticize fighters that I don't like or fighters who aren't my favorite fighters. And they love to say that I pick and choose who I criticize, right? But I'm here to tell you, I'm an equal opportunity critic. I'm an equal opportunity critic of inappropriate, poor, wrong behavior, right? So regardless of, if I'm a fan of a fighter or not, right, that does not absolve that fighter of criticism. Once again, I'll say it again. Just because I'm a fan of a particular fighter, that does not absolve that fighter from criticism. If he does something that is wrong, says something that is wrong, acts in an inappropriate way, then guess what? That fighter will be called out. So Tyson Fury was on Talk Sport yesterday, giving an interview on YouTube, right? And they were talking to him about the potential fight, undisputed fight with Oleksandr Usyk, and in typical Tyson Fury fashion, he went off on a tangent, saying all types of crazy things. And, if you're a fan of Tyson Fury, then you think that, oh, okay, he's just talking trash. He's trolling, he's just trying to, promote the fight. He's just trying to wind people up, blah, 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 blah. But if you're not a fan of Tyson Fury, then you can sit there and say to yourself, well, I'm getting sick of all the BS comments, the hypocrisy, the contradictions. So if you hate Tyson Fury or you don't like Tyson Fury, then he's doing his job. If you love Tyson Fury, once again, he's doing his job. So there's really not much of an in-between with Tyson Fury. And those guys who are usually in the middle, they're not really passionate about Tyson Fury one way or the other. And those are the types of people that possibly will not buy pay-per-views and will not buy tickets to his fights. So he knows what he's doing, regardless. He's winding everybody up. He's an attention seeker. He says things because he wants to get attention. He says things for shock value. And he knows that people don't take him serious. And he knows that sometimes people get upset with the things he says. It's all well and good. But we hear statements like, oh, well, these guys are just hyping up the fight. These guys are just trying to play the villain. These guys are just trying to wind people up. And guilty. I've said those things too, right? I've said those things too. But, there's certain lines that you don't cross. I don't like when fighters talk about other fighters, family members, fathers, mothers, wives, children. I think that's crossing the line. And I think when Conor McGregor did that with Khabib, I thought he crossed the line and I didn't like it. I was highly critical of it, right? So not many people are talking about this. Shout out to Lady Chan. I was on her live broadcast yesterday. She was talking about Anthony Joshua. She was talking about the potential Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk undisputed fight. And she mentioned it. She said, well, Tyson Fury said some you know inappropriate things about Oleksandr Usyk, criticizing where he's from. And I'm just going to take it a step further. I think the comments were flat out xenophobic. And I think they were very poor comments. I think they were made in very poor taste. And I wouldn't be surprised, once Tyson Fury's PR people get a hold of him and pull him aside, they're going to probably tell him, hey, man, you need to kind of dial that back, and you need to come out and make a public apology to Oleksandr Usyk, especially because of what's going on right now in the Ukraine. And not only that, right? Not only that, this guy, Oleksandr Usyk, just had a great performance against Anthony Joshua. Now, I've criticized Anthony Joshua. Again, I criticized him, but it's not like I wanted Anthony Joshua to be canceled or anything. I just was aggravated with how everyone was trying to go out of their way to just soften the blow for Anthony Joshua, right? And a lot of people with the criticism of Anthony Joshua, that this is the statement that I'm hearing. Well, people don't like when he's too happy, too gracious in defeat, too accepting of defeat. They want to see him get mad. But then when he gets mad, he gets criticized for that. So he can't win. My question, and I'm going to give another shout out to someone here on YouTube, is D-Style Boxing. We were talking about it, and he says to me, well, everyone wants to go from one extreme to the other. Why can't there just be a happy medium, right? I have no problem with him being upset about losing, but does he have to be a poor sport about it? Does he have to play the victim? Does he have to play, oh, well, I'm an inexperienced guy, like talking like basically he's a prospect, and, they want to minimize him. Eddie Hearn wants to minimize, and Anthony Joshua wants to minimize his level of experience to try to maximize his accomplishments, right? That's my opinion anyways. They talk about this guy like he's a prospect, and he's not a prospect. Okay, you can still improve, you can still try and get better, but this whole thing, I'm still learning on the job. Bro, you've been a pro 10 years. You won a world championship in the amateurs. You won a gold medal. You a two-time heavyweight world champion. You've been a champion on and off for 6 years. Again, the training wheels have come off. So I don't feel that the blow needs to be softened for him. And I also don't feel that the dude needs to be vilified. I don't think he needs to be trashed. I don't think Eric and I, we do the show every week, and every time a guy loses, people love to just write the guy off. I'm not saying you have to write Anthony Joshua off. I'm not saying that, Anthony Joshua is a horrible fighter. Again, he's in the top, not even the top 1%. He's in the top 0.2%. There's 1,300 registered heavyweight boxers in the world today. And Anthony Joshua was in the top 3, whether you wanted to make him number 1, 2, or 3. Arguably, a lot of people are going to say he's number 3 right now. Regardless, you're in the top 3 in a field of 1,300 fighters. That means you're in the top 0.2%. To me, that's an elite fighter. Now, that's an elite fighter for his era. He may not be an elite fighter all time, but he's an elite fighter for his era. Now, I apologize. We went off topic a little bit. Let's pull it back to Tyson Fury. So once again, Tyson Fury, just like Anthony Joshua, just like Deontay Wilder, they are not free from criticism. I don't care what people want to say. Oh, well, they're just like the rest of us, blah, blah, blah. Are they really just like the rest of us? Could you go into your job today and have a meltdown and start flipping tables over and throwing things on the ground? And are you going to still have that job? Can you make xenophobic comments? Can you say, hey, my coworker here, he's from such and such, because he's from here, he shouldn't be here or whatever? You think you're going to hold your job if you say those things? So you guys want these guys to be held to the same standards that we're held to. But in the same token, you want to give them a pass every time they say something that is off the rails or critical, or just inappropriate. And once again, I'm not saying you have to cancel people. I'm not saying people have to get fired or suspended or fined. I'm not taking that far. But every time we open our mouths, oh well, you're a hater. You're a hater. Um, you just don't like the guy. Oh well, you're hard on the guy. Again, like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. So these guys are not like us. We are not in the top 1% of men or human beings like these guys are, right? So the standards will be higher for them. Again, if I understand they go through pressure, I understand they have problems. I have no problem with fighters having to take care of themselves if they have issues, get counseling, whatever, right? And I'm going to talk about this whole mental health thing in another video. That's another video for another time. I'm going to dig deep into that in another video. But what Tyson Fury said, once again, he hasn't learned his lesson from the past, because he's made anti-Semitic comments in the past. He's made homophobic comments in the past. So again, he will not be free from criticism. So let's read some of these quotes that Tyson Fury said in his interview with Talk Sport yesterday. He goes, "I do not need some foreigner who nobody can say his name," right? Now, it's one thing saying, you want to bring the belts back to the UK. That's fine. You're showing patriotism. You're showing, national pride. That's fine. But what difference does it make whether Usyk is a foreigner or not? Were you not a foreigner when you came to the United States to fight Deontay Wilder, to fight Otto Wallin, to fight Tom Schwartz? Weren't you a foreigner? You were welcomed with open arms, right? So there's many fighters, right, from all different nationalities, all different countries, right? So yes, you were a foreigner when you came to the United States, but were you treated in a xenophobic way? A lot of Americans, most Americans welcomed you with open arms, right? So what difference does it make what country Oleksandr Usyk is from? What difference does it make what country the heavyweight champion of the world is from? Why was that even said? Is Oleksandr Usyk less than because he's from Ukraine? Because he's from East Europe? Because he's Eastern European, right? So to me, Tyson Fury crossed the line, in my opinion, yesterday. I thought that he said some really, really xenophobic things. He was basically diminishing and talking in a disparaging way about Oleksandr Usyk, and flat out insulting him because of the country he's from, which I thought was wrong. Thought it was totally inappropriate. Thought it was uncalled for. You want to talk trash, that's fine, talk trash. But once again, I don't believe in talking about people's families, being racist. I don't believe you should be discriminatory in any way, right? So I think it was inappropriate. I think it was distasteful, and I think he should come out and apologize to Oleksandr Usyk for those comments. Will he do it? I think he will. I think someone will get in his ear and they'll talk to him. I think they'll talk to him, and he'll dial it back. But once again, Tyson Fury has a history of saying a lot of stupid things, a lot of offensive things, a lot of discriminatory things against specific groups of people, right? And he should be called out on it. And he has been called out on it, right? So I know he wants to play the bad guy role in this fight to try to make it bigger, right? I get it. But once again, you want to minimize Oleksandr Usyk. You want to call him small. You want to say, oh, I don't think he's that good, whatever. You want to, oh, you beat Anthony Joshua. What does that mean? You only have 4 fights at heavyweight. There's ways to talk trash, right? Even Muhammad Ali, he never made fun of Joe Frazier's family, right? Now you can argue, yeah, he insulted him and called him specific names or whatever, but there was even a line Muhammad Ali never crossed, right? There was a line that Prince Nassim Hamed never crossed. There was a lot of trash talkers in boxing, right? That didn't cross certain lines. But once you cross certain lines, I'm just not on board with it, and I'm going to criticize it. So I'm curious to see if more media members come out and criticize Tyson Fury, right? Shout out to Lady Chan. She touched upon it yesterday on her live stream, right? So she was the first to talk about it, to my knowledge. I don't know if anyone else came out and said anything about it. Possibly they could have. I haven't heard it. I haven't seen anyone making any videos about it. But to me, I thought it was horrible. I thought it was inappropriate. And I think he owes Oleksandr Usyk an apology. Do I think the fight is going to happen? I believe I'm 99% sure that this fight happens. Do I think Tyson Fury really wants $500 million for this fight? No. But by saying that, he's trying to reach for the stars, and hoping on the way down from reaching those stars that he'll catch a few, clouds on the way down. So he's going to be shooting high. I don't think he wants the 500 million, but I would not be surprised if maybe he got 100 million for the fight. I do think someone from the Middle East will pay big money to have the fight staged over there. I do believe it will be a mega event, and I would not be surprised if the fight does happen on December 17th. That's the date that's being floated out there. There have been reports that there's already negotiations that have started, right? I'm not going to pretend to know things that I don't know. I'm not going to come on here and say this is happening, that's happening. What I do believe, though, is I do believe, again, in my opinion, I stress the words my opinion, I do believe that they're probably already talking to some people over in the Middle East, right? And I do think that they're trying to pitch this fight to either Saudi or another country over there, maybe Dubai or any, a variety of countries over in the Middle East. And, in December, it'll probably be cooler over there, but it's still, it's not going to be like it would be, in the UK. It would be hard to stage a stadium fight, obviously, in December in the UK because of all the things that are going on and the weather as well. So it would be hard. So this fight, I do believe, I'm not a big fan of fights going over to Saudi. That's just my personal thing. I'm not going to get into the politics behind it, but I understand why they're going over there. I understand the business aspect of why they're going over there. I'm not going to ever criticize someone for trying to make money. I'm not going to knock anybody's hustle. But at the end of the day, I have my beliefs and other people can have their beliefs. I'm not going to bring my political beliefs into the whole discussion right now, right? But there is going to be a mental health video about boxing. Okay, Leighton, I'm sorry. You asked this question earlier. Thank you for the super chat. Beeb, if Saudi don't buy it, does it happen? For it to happen this year, I think it would have to be in the Middle East. Could they let it happen next year and maybe in the spring? It could be in the UK. That is a possibility, but to me, I do think since Usyk was just over in Saudi, and because he had a great showing over there, right? I think he's definitely enhanced his profile in the sport of boxing by beating Joshua twice. I don't think the UK will be able to compete financially with Saudi for this fight. So in terms of does the fight happen if it's not in the Middle East or in Saudi? There's a possibility, but I think it's more probable to happen in the Middle East, in my opinion. I think it's a no-brainer, as much as I have my disagreements with the government over there, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I do think that the fight will happen. I would not be surprised if it happened by the end of the year, right? Because as Frank Warren mentioned, the sooner this fight happens, the better. So all these mandatories are not going to be enforced. Now, fortunately for Tyson Fury, he has the WBC belt, and we know how lax they are in enforcing their mandatories, right? We know how lax they are in enforcing their mandatories, but we do know from empirical data that the IBF, right, is really stringent on enforcing their mandatories. We know the WBO is somewhat stringent, and the WBA is somewhat stringent as well. But for sure, you know the IBF is going to enforce their mandatories. They're probably the most stringent out of all the sanctioning bodies in enforcing their mandatories. So I think it's, the sooner they make this fight, the better, because once they start, and here's the thing, Oleksandr Usyk has said that he only wants one fight. If he can't get that one fight, that he's going to retire. So if they do start enforcing mandatories on Oleksandr Usyk, right, then he'll probably vacate the titles and retire. So here's the flip side to this. Right? These sanctioning bodies aren't stupid either, right? So if Oleksandr Usyk fills out the proper paperwork and gets some exemptions, right, and they allow him to have a voluntary first, because these sanctioning bodies, they want to get the biggest sanctioning fee they can, and they know this fight is going to be a mega event. Because of the size of this fight, maybe the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF will be less stringent this time around, so they can allow this undisputed fight to happen, so they can put themselves in position to get the largest sanctioning fee possible, right? So money is always going to trump the rules, so to speak. The rules can be manipulated when there's a significant amount of cash involved. We've seen it happen before, right? And there's no one more shameless than the WBC. But again, these other sanctioning bodies, I wouldn't be surprised if they follow suit as well because of the size of this event. This could be a monster worldwide, right? This could be a monster worldwide. And because Fury has been fighting in the United States, would not be surprised if the fight with Usyk would be on ESPN pay-per-view. This would not be like a free fight like it was on DAZN. Technically, no fights are free, but this would not be a non-pay-per-view fight over here, I suspect. Once again, I could be wrong on that. Could be on regular ESPN. It's a possibility. But knowing Bob Arum, I do believe that they would probably put it on pay-per-view here. December is a slow month in sports for us, right? Obviously there'll be football going on, right? But it's going to be in the beginning of the season, right? Saturday is not it's not really a big football day over here. There's college football. But once again, people who, if it's promoted properly, I think this could do okay here in the United States on pay-per-view. Obviously, it's not going to be a home run, But Fury has made a name for himself over here, right? And once again, Fury's made a name for himself over in Saudi. He did a WWE event over in Saudi Arabia that was highly successful. So Saudi has worked with both fighters before, right? So I don't believe it should be a problem having this fight be put over in the Middle East, if I'm being honest, right? So yeah, I think the fight will happen. I'm pretty optimistic about it. I'm not believing all the BS that Fury's saying. I do believe that he will get a substantial purse for this fight. I would argue it possibly could be the highest purse that any UK fighter has gotten in the history of the sport of boxing. That's just my opinion, but once again, I could be wrong there. So, I just see this fight being a blockbuster. And another thing that kind of disturbs me a little bit is Wilder. I know we're all over the place here, but it's all relative. The heavyweight division is the heavyweight division. It's hard to talk about Fury without Joshua. It's hard to talk about Joshua without Fury. It's hard to talk about Wilder without Fury and Joshua as well. There obviously there's not a three-headed monster anymore. Now there's a two-headed monster, right? Now there's a two-headed monster with Usyk and Fury. So even though Wilder and Joshua are not titleists, I still think that they garner high interest from boxing fans. I still think they are both players in the heavyweight division, right? So here's the thing. Wilder versus Joshua would be a mega event as well. So when Wilder comes out and he's just so dismissive of the fact that Eddie Hearn reached out to Shelley Finkel to talk about a possible fight, then he's bringing up, oh, well, they knew he was going to lose. What the fuck does that matter to you, brother? I mean, there's no fight right now for you that would be bigger than Anthony Joshua. There's no fight right now that would be bigger than Anthony Joshua. And I'm sure Saudi would love to buy that one. That would be a huge fight for Saudi as well. So Wilder's probably not going to want to go to the UK. Joshua's probably not going to want to go to the US. So that would be a gigantic fight, in my opinion, in the Middle East as well. And listening to Wilder basically say, oh, well, I'm busy. Okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with fighting Helenius. And Joshua, I think a good fight for him would be that Zhang fight. The guy who just fought Hrgovic on the undercard. That Zhang fight would be a very good fight for Joshua. Be another southpaw, but he'd be in there with the guy who's very vulnerable, who's very hittable, who has some questionable stamina issues. And those two styles would mesh beautifully together. So fine having Wilder come back against Helenius. Fine having Joshua come back against like a Zhilei Zhang, right? Fine. Those are two great fights. But why not work to eventually have a Wilder-Joshua fight? Why is Wilder so against that fight? Why is he so dismissive of that fight? And I hate taking sides. And I know I was back and forth when the whole drama was going on between AJ versus Wilder. But let's be real, man. Wilder has openly stated that he turned down the fight with Joshua twice. Now, obviously, he wasn't offered a Joshua fight, but in this time around, I should say, he wasn't offered a Joshua fight. They were taught. Eddie Hearn reached out for the potential of having a Joshua fight. So it's not like he was sent a contract over or anything, but he didn't even he's very dismissive of even talking to make a Joshua fight. Now, he went on social media himself. I believe he tweeted it out and said to Fury, when Fury was trying to allegedly get out of the third fight, which I think was a big sham anyways. I mean, they knew that they were going to fight Wilder all along, but they were just creating drama like they love to do, right? So Here's the thing, man. Wilder openly tweeted out, I turned down a bigger offer to fight Joshua, and I took the fight with you in the second fight, right? I was a man of my word. Why can't you be a man of yours? And now he came out in another interview just recently and said, they approached me, and his reply was, I'm busy. Okay, you're busy now, but what's wrong with down the road fighting Joshua? I don't like what Eddie Hearn's doing right now with Joshua. I don't think that they should rush him back out in December. I think Joshua should take some time off, maybe come back in April or May, right? And what would be wrong of having Joshua come back in April, and then maybe in October or November having a Wilder fight, right? So I would not be against that. I would not be against that. So the fact that Wilder has always been so dismissive about fighting Anthony Joshua, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. So people can say whatever they want. They can criticize Eddie Hearn if they want. They can criticize Anthony Joshua if they want. But Matchroom and Team Joshua seem to be the only ones who have really been trying to make this fight with Wilder, and Wilder has always, always, always dismissed it. Oh, let's have a meeting. They don't even want to have a meeting. Shelley Finkel said we didn't even want to meet with them. So we know who's opening up the lines of communication, and we know who's been closing them down. So Team Wilder has been very dismissive and very, very resistant to fighting Anthony Joshua. It's pretty obvious, guys. And if you can't accept that, then in my opinion, I don't think you're being objective. Wilder came out openly and said, I turned down the fight, which was a bigger offer, and I fought Fury instead. So if you want to disagree with that, that's your decision. But if you have evidence to suggest that Wilder openly had an offer to fight AJ after the draw, and this is what I've always said, it was stupid for Wilder. I said it right then and there, and I'll say it now. It would have been a better move for Wilder to go for the undisputed fight, and then if he wanted to revisit the Fury fight after the undisputed fight, then that would have been fine, right? But fighting Fury instead of going straight to Joshua, which he openly said that he had a bigger offer to fight Joshua, but he turned it down. You guys have to accept that. Those were his words. It's a tweet. Let's see if we can pull that up. See if we can pull that up. See if I can find that tweet, and I'll share it. See if I can, See, I'm a Fury fan. Everyone says that I'm a Fury fanboy, but I call out everyone. Right? Okay, let me see if I can find this. Here's a tweet. And we're going to share. Where's the tweet here? We're going to share this tweet. All right. And this is why fighters, they tell on themselves too much. So we're going to share this screen, right? We're going to share this tweet. And I'm going to read it first, then we're going to share it. When the fight was a draw, I told you that I would give you a rematch. You know I was offered more money to fight Joshua than I was getting to fight you. Again, being a man of my word, I fought you. This was October 31st, 2020. Okay? We're going to share this tweet. All right? We're going to share this tweet. We're going to share the screen. Okay? We're going to share it. If you guys don't want to accept it, that's your decision. Right? When the fight was a draw, I told you that I would give you a rematch. You know I was offered more money to fight Joshua than I was getting to fight you. Again, being a man of my word, I fought you like I said I would. And Eddie Hearn's at the top saying, I thought AJ ducked you. So Deontay Wilder admitted openly that he turned down the Joshua fight. And recently, he said that they reached out to him again for a potential fight with Joshua. And once again, his response was, I'm busy. So that again, there's nothing. Again, you got to stop. You got to stop. It's horrible. So what's wrong with that statement? Absolutely nothing is wrong with that statement. But it proves that he didn't want the fight. He turned it down. There's only been one side that has been reaching out, that has been actively seeking the fight. And that's been Eddie Hearn and Joshua. Okay? That's it. So you can't, see, you don't have to like Joshua. You could argue that he's overrated because he in my opinion, he's an elite fighter, right? But he's never been the number one guy, in my opinion. Some people say he was, some people say he wasn't. A lot of people were putting him at number one, and in my opinion, I just didn't think he was. So you can argue that if you want to argue that he's overrated. One thing you can't criticize Anthony Joshua for is he always fought his mandatories, right? He tried to unify. He was the guy that brought four of the belts back together. He had the IBO, the WBO, WBA, and the IBF, right? He's the only guy who has shown through his actions the desire to become undisputed. That's why they reached out to Wilder. That was the goal. Wilder has never shown that he said he wanted to be undisputed, but his actions never supported his words. They never backed up his words. Joshua fought every mandatory they put in front of him. When Tyson Fury, right, beat Klitschko, he allowed the IBF to strip him. So he never kept the belts together. When Lennox Lewis was undisputed, he allowed the WBA to strip him, right? Riddick Bowe threw the WBC belt in the trash, right? George Foreman allowed the WBA and the IBF to strip him when he became champion the second time around. Joshua, there's only one other fighter that was adamant about keeping the titles together, and that was Evander Holyfield. And that was back in the 90s, right? Back in the late 90s. So outside of that, at least Joshua really backed up his words. Now they're saying that belts don't matter because he's not the champion anymore. That's a crock of shit. Eddie Hearn's fucking blowing smoke. Joshua takes the belts, throws them on the ground. They know the belts matter. They know the belts matter. They know the belts matter. If we're being real, they know the belts matter. So it is what it is. So what we're not going to do is we're not going to come on here and tell me what I can talk about. You're welcome to hit the X in the top right hand corner, and you can get the fuck out of here. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying. You will not tell me what I can say or what I can't say. No motherfuckers are going to come on here and censor me. Again, I don't subscribe to that cancel culture censorship bullshit. You don't like what I'm saying. You don't have to fucking come here and listen to me. You can fucking leave. Don't tell me what the fuck I'm going to say. You could say whatever you want. That's fine. You want to tell me I'm full of shit? You want to tell me you don't agree with me? That's fine. What you're not going to do is you're not going to come on here and tell me what I can and can't say. Because it's all relevant. It's all relevant. So one thing we are going to give, we don't have to give credit to him. But one thing I'm going to give Anthony Joshua credit for is he always fought his banditories, and he tried to become undisputed. There was negotiation. They reached out to Fury. They reached out to Wilder when both fighters had the WBC title. It is what it is. So you don't have to like Joshua. You can say he's overrated. You can say anything you want about Joshua. I don't think you can question his desire to become undisputed, in my opinion. You can, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that you'd be wrong in that assessment, in my opinion. You saw the WBC champion, right? You saw the WBC champion openly admit that he turned down the fight. Wilder has never unified. That's 100% correct, G-Funky. And he's never made an attempt to unify. Right? Never. Never, ever, ever. So the reality is, I do believe that there's an overwhelming amount of evidence to suggest that Anthony Joshua did want to become undisputed. In my opinion, I mean, it's hard to argue against that, in my opinion. So, I think Tyson Fury was a cherry pick gone wrong for Deontay Wilder. They kept calling him pillow fisted because they didn't think he could punch, and they knew Joshua could punch. They knew Dillian White could punch, right? And those are the two fights. Those are the two fights that Wilder kept dismissing. So, yeah, Fury was a cherry pick, in my opinion, the first time around at 100%. Nobody gave him a chance to win that fight. That's why he was the underdog. Simple and plain. We already showed you evidence of Wilder turning down the fight. Now, if you can pull up a tweet or a quote of Anthony Joshua turning down the fight, then it is what it is. But AJ, I believe there was a concern about his punching power from Team Wilder. There was a concern about Vladimir Klitschko's punching power from Team Wilder. That's why they didn't fight Vladimir Klitschko. They've never, ever made an attempt to unify these titles. Ever. He's never, ever even, he's never, ever fought a unification fight. Ever. Fury was a cherry pick gone wrong, and you know it. You want it. Hindsight is 20/20. Just like I even said Bivol was a cherry pick gone wrong for Canelo. This is a lie, because I already showed you. Let's look at the tweet. Let's look at the tweet. You can have an opinion, but what you can't do is you can't have a set of your own facts. Can't have a set of your own facts. We'll share the screen once again for the people in the back. Here's the screen. Deontay Wilder openly said, when the fight was a draw, I told you that I would give you a rematch, talking to Tyson Fury. You know I was offered more money to fight Joshua than I was getting to fight you. Again, being a man of my word, I fought you like I said I would. And this tweet was from October 31st, 2020. I mean, we can't have cognitive dissonance. Our cognitive dissonance cannot be that strong that we're not going to allow ourselves to look at evidence that is right in front of our face and pretend that it's not there. You can't do that. He admitted he turned the fight down October 31st, 2020. Brian, you and I have had many phone conversations saying that he should have never had the rematch. When that fight was a draw, the rematch clause was voided out, right? Because no one won or lost. So in a draw, the rematch clause can be voided out, right? There was 2 cherry picks that went wrong. Yeah, Reese was too, but so was the Tyson Fury. So it's crazy, man. I'm Tyson Fury's biggest fan, and I'm coming on here telling you he made xenophobic comments yesterday that were stupid, insensitive, and had no place in any conversation about boxing. Yeah, of course Fury's the tougher fight now because we're playing hindsight as 2020. But back then he wasn't perceived to be the toughest fight. I said he was. I said it was right when the rematch was announced. I said it was stupid. Wilder should have fought Joshua. Wilder had a better chance of beating Joshua than Fury. This was when everyone was saying Joshua was number 1 and Fury was nobody. I've been telling people about Fury since 2011 that he was going to be the best heavyweight. And I've told people I think Fury's the best heavyweight of all time. Not based off of accomplishments, but based off of overall skills. I think he could beat any heavyweight in the history of the sport of boxing. I think he would beat Muhammad Ali. You could argue Lennox Lewis would have beat him, but I think he would have beat Lennox Lewis too. Lennox Lewis was knocked out twice. I get a lot of heat for saying it, but here's the thing. I think Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight of all time, but I'm here telling you that he made xenophobic comments that he should not have said, and he should be criticized for it. When Tyson Fury walked away from the sport due to quote unquote mental health issues, I think it was. I don't think that was the real reason why he left. Again, this is my opinion. The IBF just stripped him, right? He was under investigation from UCAD because he failed a PED test that he said he failed because he ingested boar meat, which I thought was bullshit, right? I think he walked away from the sport of boxing because I thought all of the sanctioning bodies would have eventually stripped him because he was under investigation from UCAD, right? I think he knew this, so I think he walked away to try to clear up everything, and the investigation took about 1.5 to 2 years, right? And they worked it out, but regardless, Fury was going to get stripped. Fury was going to be suspended. Fury was going to be investigated. So there was a rough road ahead for Fury. So I don't think he had a choice but to walk away. I don't think he had a choice but to walk away. So did he have substance abuse problems? Yeah. Was he in a bad state because of what happened? But here's the thing, guys. I'm going to save the whole mental health thing for another video. I'm going to talk about that in another video, right? Because I'm going to go real deep into the mental health thing. So Fury had a lot of problems, and mental health was probably the least of those problems in my opinion. Obviously, you're not going to be happy when all those things. There's a lot of shit weighing on your shoulders, right? There's a lot of shit weighing on your shoulders when you're being stripped, when you're being investigated by UCAD. So he was under a lot of heat. And obviously, I'm not going to sit there and say that he was happy about it all. But I think he really had no choice but to walk away with all the shit that was going on around him. So I'm skeptical of the whole mental health thing, not only with Tyson Fury, but with a lot of fighters. But again, as I said, that's another video. Corey, I'm going to bring you on in a second. Let me just read this super chat. Thank you so much, Alexander Wilson. He said, Matchroom offered Adam Kanaki, Luis Ortiz, the Ruiz spot, but PBC turned it down. Looking back, that was a huge mistake. Boxing makes weird decisions. Of course they do. What up? What up, brother? What you
What's
got for?
going on? What's going on, man? You cooking this morning, man. Damn. You bringing up stuff from 2020, man. That was a good comment that I think you made about
I mean,
Deontay Wilder,
not to
turning down the
cut.
fight. That makes sense though. Shelly Finkel did not want to do business with his own. He adamantly made that clear, you know. And a lot of people don't think that. A lot of people don't look into some of these interviews. I watch all of the Steven Espinoza videos. I watch all of the Shelly Finkel interviews when they do them because Al Heyman doesn't do them. So it's like you got to get him from the top of the food chain, as much as you want as you can. And those are the facts. Like the stuff that Shelly Finkel and them talk about, I think most of that stuff is true. You know, I don't think Shelly Finkel's one to blow smoke and mirrors. You know, and I really think that Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder would have been a more competitive fight than Usyk versus Joshua, which I always knew he was slow. I said that in 2017 when Usyk first entered the cruiserweight division. I was like in America. I was like, you know, because I was watching Usyk before he when he was fighting in front of K2 Promotions and he was fighting in Ukraine. I was watching those shows, and the Klitschko brothers was always front row because they promoted him at first. And so I always watched him and I always thought he was different. I knew he won the Olympic gold medal. And back then I said, look, Usyk's all wrong for Joshua, man. I think Usyk, style is gonna cause Joshua problems. I said that in 2017, Beeves. I just knew. I knew there's no way he was gonna be able to keep up with his footwork. You know what I mean? And I just feel like now, man, people are finally seeing how good Usyk is and what good style matchups do they really have. The only one to make is the Tyson Fury fight. And now finally, Tyson Fury has been saying that he wants all of the belts. And I love to hear it when I heard it yesterday. I was like, man, he hasn't been talking like this. He's been telling Anthony Joshua what to do to beat Usyk because I know financially he knows Joshua will be a bigger fight. He knows that. He knows that financially. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it is about money. But at the end of the day, it's all about those belts. He wants to be undisputed champion. That's what Tyson Fury wants to do. But so does Usyk. Usyk had all of the belts at cruiserweight. There's a reason why he's at heavyweight and he wants all of the belts. He's one step away from getting all of the belts. You think Usyk don't want this shit? He did that shit specifically on purpose to enter that World Series of Boxing when that's never really been done. Usyk started that shit, man.
Correct. Let me address this question from my brother Brian.
Then other weight divisions started after that.
Let me address this question from my brother Brian in the chat. He said, okay, to be honest, I'm still trying to figure out the title. What did Fury say? Fury said when he was on that interview yesterday with TalkSport, he said, I do not need some foreigner who nobody can say his name. So that in itself is a xenophobic statement. Now, you don't have to like Usyk, right? You don't have to think he's a great boxer. But to criticize someone and diminish someone and degrade somebody because of what country they're from is xenophobic. It's totally inappropriate and uncalled for. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, Corey. I'm going to interview you here for a while. Do you think those comments were appropriate from Tyson Fury? Do you think he should be criticized for those comments? And do you think those comments are xenophobic? With all due respect, I don't know if you know what the word xenophobic means, but that means criticizing and being prejudiced or biased against people from other countries other than your own, right? So do you think what Tyson Fury said yesterday was in poor taste? Yes or no?
What did he say again?
I do not need. They were talking about him fighting Usyk on TalkSport, a YouTube channel, radio show here in the UK, or there in the UK, not here in the UK. He says, I do not need some foreigner who nobody can say his name. Do you think by insulting somebody because of the country they're from, do you think that's appropriate in the sport of boxing?
I mean, no. I mean, it definitely was in poor taste. You know, obviously you're not supposed to say things like that, but I don't think Tyson Fury. I mean, I don't know what his intentions are. You know, I don't know what that guy, man. That guy be saying some wild things, man. So I don't know exactly what direction he is. He's on that fine line, man.
See,
You know,
this is a
he's on that
problem.
fine line, man. He rides that fine line, man.
Th-
He's good at it.
This is a problem right here. He is saying they don't know Usyk. I don't think that was being offensive. So okay, why didn't he just say, well, nobody knows who this guy is? Why did he have to bring up the guys? Why do you have to call him a foreigner? Is he less than is he less than because he's from a different country?
But how is he a foreigner when you're from the UK and he's from Ukraine? And to be honest with you, we're from America. They're both foreigners to us. You
Well,
know?
that's what I'm saying. But he said it in a very condescending, dismissive way. I do not need some foreigner.
Yeah.
So is Usyk less than because he's from a different
He's
country
less
than you?
than, yeah.
I mean, if you can't, if that doesn't,
getting at.
Again, if you don't find that offensive, then I'm not going to try to change your mind. But that's blatantly, that's openly. Let's look up the word xenophobic. Right? We're gonna read the definition: having or showing a dislike of or prejudice against people from other countries. Right? Now, that definitely has xenophobic intentions sprinkled all over it. Like if that is not a xenophobic statement, then I don't know what is. Some foreigner. Why didn't he just say some unknown, an unpopular guy, somebody who nobody knows? Why did he have to call him some foreigner? Like it's bad to be from another country other than your own. Americans are xenophobic as fuck. That's you can argue that. You can argue that. I'm not saying that they aren't. So,
but yeah, man. Both
again, I just read the definition of xenophobia. I mean, if you don't want to listen, you can. If you're coming on here and you're just not listening to what's being said, then what's the sense of coming on here? I just read the definition. If you don't know what xenophobia is, I mean, everyone has Google. Everyone has Google.
So yeah, I mean, you were saying some good points, Beebs, about about Deontay Wilder, man. I know a lot of Wilder fans ain't feeling that. They ain't feeling that, man. They ain't feeling that, Beebs. They ain't feeling that. They ain't feeling that.
Tyson Fury, in my opinion, is the best heavyweight of all time. But if he walks away from this,
that's in your opinion, though. That's in your opinion. I've always said Usyk was the best heavyweight of all time,
and that's fair. But even though I'm a Tyson Fury fan, I have 2 Tyson Fury shirts in my dresser right now. If he walks away from this fight with Usyk, it's going to be a bad look, and people can question whether or not he is the best heavyweight of his era. People are gonna say, right, that Tyson Fury avoided Oleksandr Usyk, and it's going to be, and you really can't defend Tyson Fury even if you're a Tyson Fury fan.
This is going to be fun, though. This is going to be fun, Bees, because ESPN and DAZN are going to have to do a deal. I mean, like, I don't know how this is going to go down because, I mean, you're dealing with a streaming app, and I mean, you're dealing with one of the biggest companies, in sports, history is ESPN. And, these guys, ESPN, they're with the big wigs. They're with ABC. They're with, some of the biggest wigs. DAZN is just an app. That's it. And they get their revenues in other different ways, man. But I'm curious, Beebs, man. What's the percentage of this fight going down, man? I mean, what do you think, the odds are this fight will happen and will happen this year?
In my opinion, 99.9%. I think
It's
the fight's.
gonna happen. You think it's gonna happen this year?
I think it's going to happen in December. It's a no-brainer.
How does it happen, Beef? If you
It's
don't
going to
mind
happen.
me asking.
It's going to happen in the Middle East, I believe. I think the Middle East is going to put up a substantial amount of money. They know Usyk is hot right now. He just came off a great performance, and they're gonna build off of that. And they already know Tyson Fury's already been over in the Middle East with the WWE, and that was a huge pay-per-view. That was a huge event. So I think Saudi is going to either Saudi or one of the countries from the Middle East is going to really put up a lot of money, and they're going to really try and work hard to get this fight over in the Middle East. And in December, it's not going to be too cold over there. It should have pretty decent weather, right? Their weather is different than obviously ours, and different than the UK's weather. It's not going to be cold like it would be over here. So I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, I'm not crazy about fights going over to the Saudi Arabia but
Outdoor arena?
possibly. Someone asked me, B, what would you say is Fury's biggest win? You can argue it was Klitschko. You can argue it was Wilder. I'm going to say it was Klitschko based upon, Klitschko being undefeated for 10 years. Klitschko at least being the unified champion. Klitschko was the man. I'm going to say the Klitschko fight was Fury's biggest win, in my opinion. If I'm going to be honest, I think it was the Klitschko fight because of who Klitschko was at the time. Who would you say was the biggest win?
Oh man, it was just damn man. The more I think about it, man, he pretty much ended the era in the Klitschko era, and he's pretty much ended the era with the Deontay Wilder era, and it's just like wow, man. This guy beat two guys, at their pretty much at their peak, and he got by him. Some would say narrowly, both times, in the first Klitschko fight and in the first Wilder fight. But I think he eventually got Tyson Fury got locked in.
You think Tyson Fury's fight with Vladimir Klitschko was close?
There was some that did say that though, Beeves. There were some people that did say that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay.
Saying at that time when that fight did first happen and that fight was first over, there was people that was saying, I thought Klitschko won that fight. I remember that.
Okay.
And I was just like, what the fuck? And it was just like, okay, but I gotta throw that out there, you know what I mean? Because Joshua fought Klitschko and there was a different ending.
Yeah, I scored it 9-3 like Ryan Hong did.
Okay.
Callie King says, Beeb, who do you think Fury's toughest opponent was? You could argue.
I think Wilder.
You could argue it was Wilder, but he had this fight against John McDermott that a lot of people thought he lost early in his career. So that could be his toughest fight. No one really talks about that because it was a domestic level fight. But you could argue John McDermott in the first fight could be his toughest fight. But a lot of people don't know about that.
That's crazy that he could lose to a guy at that level and then be the guy at the top level. You know what I mean? Like it's just mind-boggling, man.
Well, fighters improve as they have their experiences.
I know, but it's just McDermott had 15 losses at right now. He's got 15 losses right now.
I don't even know what his record is now, but
I think he's got at least 10 losses. And it's like, damn, you're struggling with a guy like that, and then you're at the top level, which guys do change, Beats. I'm not coming after your guy or anything, but I have came after him, but it's just
but here's the thing, brother. If people want to criticize Tyson Fury, he's not free from criticism. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think here's the thing, man. Every time someone says if you for instance, when Johnny Nelson said if Anthony Joshua loses the rematch, right? to Oleksandr Usyk that he could possibly retire. Is that a controversial statement to make? Is that a disrespectful statement to make? Is that a disparaging statement to make? No, but when he said that, Eddie Hearn came out, no, how could you say that? How could you disrespect Joshua? Like, that's not a disrespectful statement because, again, you'd be losing 2 in a row, right? Coming off two losses, and you're not heavyweight champion in the world, right? It's possible that you may want to walk away. You've already accomplished a lot. With the only reason why you continue to fight on is for money. But you already have enough money. So he has enough money where he could walk away from the sport. He can live off of his endorsements, live off of his investments, live off of whatever. So he could walk away, after losing twice to Usyk. Is that a bad thing to say? But when that was said, the guy was fucking crucified. He was vilified. So anytime you say anything, whether it's disrespectful or not, like if you say anything about Anthony Joshua, and if it's not a positive thing, like if you say, oh, maybe he wasn't as good as we thought he was, maybe he was a bit overrated, maybe he was, I don't think he could beat Wilder, or I don't think he could beat Fury. Oh, you're just saying those things because you hate Joshua. Oh, you're just saying those things because you're a so-and-so fanboy. Oh, you're disrespecting Joshua. Oh, how could you say these things? And it's just like, I just don't. I hate like that bullshit.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. These fans out here, man. These Wilder fans is out of control, man. You know what I mean? And it's like you at some point, man, you gotta let Wilder take his losses like a man. He took them. I mean, I think Wilder looks like he's trying to get over him. I don't know if you ever get over a loss like that, but it's tough, man. Those are 2 tough losses that Wilder took, man. Tough ones too, man. I think they took a lot out of Wilder, man. I really do, and I'm excited to see Wilder back in the heavyweight division, man. I think Wilder's good for the sport. I think the way he talks, the way he is, but does these 3 Fury fights humble him, or does Wilder still, is going to be the way he's going to be, which is brash, which is, I mean, he said he didn't mind killing a man in the ring. I mean, this is the same guy. So it's just like, I mean, I'm not even going to lie. Sometimes I'm like, this dude wild as shit, but I think he's good for the sport. I just think he's good for the sport.
I like Deontay Wilder. I like Deontay Wilder.
I like Wilder, man. I think the sport's been missing Wilder a little bit, man.
I don't have anything against Wilder, man. But again, the word hate loves to be like, people love to throw that word hate around. What they need to do is just come out and say, I don't like what you're saying, right? It bothers me what you're saying. Please stop saying it. That's what you mean when you say you're hating. I mean, it's the most overused word now on social media, on YouTube, because every time someone says something that you don't agree with and it bothers you, you don't want to hear it, even when they bring facts. Like we just brought factual evidence that Deontay Wilder turned down a fight with AJ, because he came out and he said he turned down a fight with AJ. But people are saying that he did not. People are saying that he did not. A lot of people ask me this question, is Beeb on cocaine or some shit? Why does he keep shaking? I'm a very fidgety person. I don't like sitting still. That's just how it is. If it bothers you, once again, there's an X on that right-hand corner. You can click it and you can leave. If you're more focused on me twitching and shaking, then then maybe you're here for the wrong reason. Again, that's just who I am. I don't like sitting still. I even when I used to be in school, I used to have that shaking leg syndrome. You ever see people that have that leg when they just keep tapping their foot or they keep shaking the leg? I've just always been fidgety my whole life. That's just how I've always been that way. You don't like it?
And when Beebs get riled up, you guys, when y'all start talking about some shit that Beebs, knows shit about, he gets riled up, man. He gets a little tweaky, you know what I mean? But that's the way he is. That's the way Beebs is.
I get loud.
He's always been.
Beeb, you're emotional. I mean? Yeah, I get emotional sometimes.
You know, just a little bit, Beach. You know.
I let you know. I let my high testosterone level get the better of me sometimes. I can't help it.
But you're passionate about the sport you love. You're
I mean,
passionate about the
sometimes
sport you love.
when I'm in the moment, I go over the top. I mean, I go over the top. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes I go over the top. I used to get in heated debates on here with people and say some things that I probably shouldn't have said, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I can own it.
Man, some of those 2018, 2019 Beebs debates, man, 2020, 2014, 2015 Beebs debates was just out. I mean, just out of this world, man. I mean, this dude would let you have it to the very end, man, until you give in. Damn, man. And a lot of people don't know that, man. Back when you was with the boxing voice and all that, man, fans would call in and really think they know something, and Beeves would just really be drilling them, man. He would not let them go, man. And I like Beeves for that. I think a lot of people should appreciate that shit, man, for real. You know. But Chad, man, so I know you're gonna probably end the show soon. What I mean, let's get to the state of the heavyweight division, Beeves. I mean, where do we go from here? You're saying that there's going to be a fight in December, against Wilder. I mean, excuse me, against Fury and Usyk. What about Wilder? What about Wilder? He's going to be fighting
Hellenius.
He's fighting Hellenius, and then after that, he maybe possibly fighting the winner of Ruiz versus Ortiz. I'm thinking that's what's going on.
If Ruiz beats Ortiz, right, then he'll fight Ruiz. I mean, here's the strategy, bro.
What about if Ortiz wins, though? What about if Ortiz wins? Would that be a third fight?
I don't think he'd fight him for a third time, bro.
They were hugging in the gym last week.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, man. I ain't really trying to see a third fight, man. I want to see Wilder against some fresh guys. Some guys that are, that he's never fought before. He doesn't have any history with, like Joshua, like Usyk, like some of the other guys out there, man. There's other guys out there for Wilder to fight, and I feel like he's just trying to stay. They might just have him on the PB side for a little while. I mean, they're already saying that he's going to be the mandatory soon for that WBC spot already.
He'll be the mandatory.
Dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, damn, this dude just lost 3 times. And I mean, he's it's like, I ain't knocking him. I'm not knocking him. But it does have, like, what about who else is in the rankings that possibly could deserve a shot? I mean, I don't know, man. I think Ruiz over there at the zone. I mean, at PBC, if Ruiz can get things right, man, I think Ruiz can make an impact on everything, man. I think Ruiz could really, really, truly make an impact, and he's one of the only guys that's on the PB side that beat Joshua. He does have that win over Joshua, and I think he's still riding high off that. And I think if Ruiz can win and shake up the heavyweight division and beat, Ortiz, because I'm favoring Ortiz in that fight.
I am too. I think Ortiz is going to beat.
Ortiz.
I think Ortiz is going to beat Ruiz, man.
You think so?
I think Ortiz is going to win. Yeah.
And I'm the more I'm thinking about it, Bees, I'm really thinking about Ortiz. If he wins, where does it go? It's just like I'm not hating on the guy, but I just think it's almost like if Usyk and Joshua would have won this last fight, it would have been so much money on the back end of that, man. So much money with Tyson Fury, man, and that fight being in the UK and everything like that. But Usyk won, he shook up the division, and I just think if on the PBC side, I think Andy Ruiz is in a good position to shake up the heavyweight division, because if he wins and beats Ortiz, he's gonna be guaranteed that Wilder shot. I think, man. I think that's almost penciled in, man. I think it's gonna be Wilder versus Ruiz, and I think that's a really good fight, man. Deontay Wilder can test himself with the guy that beat Anthony Joshua straight up.
Once again, we're gonna have this PBC series where they're just gonna be fighting their own fight. Like PBC's gonna be fighting PBC fighters, and that's it.
Yep.
It's fucking stupid, bro.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's fucking stupid, man.
And I hope they're not on pay-per-view, man.
And then I know people are gonna come on. Oh, beep, you know, everyone does. everyone does the in-house fight. Okay, that's fine, but you know, and I know Wilder went over and he fought Fury on ESPN. I get it, man. But he only did that because he had to, because he wasn't the champion, and the only way the fight was going to happen was if it was on ESPN. You know, thank you, Sly. He said, "Actions over words, be better, Tyson Fury." Yeah, I mean, what difference does it make if the guy is from a different country than you? Like, why are you going to talk shit about someone because he's a quote unquote foreigner, as you say? It's just fucking stupid, bro. Like, first of all, the guy wins against Anthony Joshua. Then he has his moment taken from him. Then he's got a guy, you know, in Anthony Joshua, who takes the flag off of him and wraps his flag around himself, you know, and then he's trying to get his flag back. And Joshua's like, fucking, no, I'm talking. It's like, dude, like, what the fuck is going like? This guy was disrespected, man, and he continues to be disrespected. Give this guy his fucking flowers. He's the heavyweight champ of the world, man. He's got four of the fucking belts if you want to count the IBO, man. You know, and you're gonna call him some foreigner, like we all see what's going on over in Ukraine. Regardless of how you feel about the whole situation from a political standpoint, there's
fucked up.
There's regular people and civilians dying over there. That's not a good thing, man. That's not a good thing, bro.
And some people are overlooking that shit, man. Some people are overlooking that shit. It's like people in Ukraine right now can't even go to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, again,
it's crazy. It's crazy, man.
This dude Beeb is too sensitive. Okay, man. I mean, if you think it's okay to make fun of people just because they're from different countries, and you think it's okay to be, you know, xenophobic, if you think that's fine, and then we have a different set of values, then, bro. So be it.
What do you?
So be it, bro.
So be
it. Got a different. We got a different set of values. If you think it's okay to disrespect someone just because they're from a different country than you, that's fine. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Go ahead, Corey. I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. I always do that, but go ahead.
Yeah, man. But I'm just saying, man. I mean, so how do you feel about his comments? You know, how do you feel about everything? This is your favorite heavyweight. This has been your number one guy since, you know, 2011. How do you feel about this guy Tyson Fury saying shit like this? I mean, this is not his first time, and it damn sure won't be his last time. This is your favorite heavyweight.
Obviously, you know, I'm not too happy about it because of I'm criticizing him for it, right? So I'm not on board with these comments. I think he should come out and say. I think he should come out and apologize for him. If I'm being honest. But no one's gonna do a video like shout out to Lady Chan, who I respect a lot on here. You know, she
Lady Chan.
She mentioned it on her video yesterday. So I'm not the first to talk about it. She talked about it first. But are other people going to come out and talk about it? That's what I want to know. Probably not. You know what I mean? So shout out to Lady Chan. She talked about it.
Lady Chan. Shout out to Lady Chan.
So I don't like that shit. Some foreigner. You don't talk about people like that, bro. You don't, man. Come on. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful, man.
Yeah, you ain't feeling that. You ain't feeling that, Beebs.
You don't do that.
Beebs ain't feeling that shit, y'all. You ain't feeling it.
So do you know what the odds are right now for Fury Usyk?
What's the odds, yo? Because I'm on fucking bet craziness, man. Have we even talked about quarterly bets? Yes, you guys. I did bet Usyk to win on points and unanimous decision. Yes, I show Beebs my fucking ticket. That's a fucking bet, man. Come on, man. I won that shit too.
You know what the bet I was recommending?
I hit that shit right on the money with the Usyk fight. And I did it the first time, but I didn't bet. I did it the first time. I didn't bet. Fool me once. That's on you, but no, not twice, man. I'm putting my money up the second time. I knew what my boy Usyk could do. I knew what he could do. So
Oleksandr Usyk is a plus 220. Tyson Fury is a minus 280.
I'm putting a lot of paper on Usyk, man. I'm betting you on Usyk. We're doing some type of bet for this fight, man. And I'm owning up to it, man. I'm gonna put everything on my channel and everything like that, man. I'm owning up to it, man. Me and Beebs, if this fight goes down, you guys, I'm gonna put one of the biggest bets I've ever done, man. I might shave my hair, man. I mean, but Beebs has to do the same thing. So it's like, you know what I mean? You know, the level of bet on this, you guys, could be astronomical, man. I mean, you guys gotta just tune in. You guys gotta tune in.
I got a square head, so if I shave my head, I'm gonna look like a lunchbox, man. I don't want to shave my head, man. The honey dips aren't gonna like it if I shave my head, man.
Yo,
you know the honey dips, they're not gonna like it.
He said the honey dips ain't gonna like them.
Honey dips are gonna call me out. If I shave my head, the honey dips are gonna call me out, man. They're gonna be like, "Beeb, why are you shaving your head, man? Come on."
But you love Tyson Fury. Do you think? I mean, so what do you think about the bet? Who are you putting your money on?
If there's a prop bet, I'm gonna take Tyson Fury by knockout.
By knockout?
I think he's gonna stop him.
What would have to entice you for a knockout? Plus what? 600?
I don't know.
Plus
I'm gonna ask you.
Plus 600.
Plus 300
or more.
Plus 300. I would take it
or more.
Yeah. Here's the thing, bro. Go back and watch that fight, even with Anthony Joshua, right? And look, every time Joshua hit him on the belt line, which I thought were all legal blows, he kept looking over to the ref and complaining, and he kept doubling over, man. So I could see Fury in the clinch, grabbing him with one arm and shielding himself from the ref, right?
Yeah.
And ripping him to the body. And I think he's going to really rough him up and break him down. I think Fury's going to try to smother Usyk. Let me finish. Even though Fury's the taller, longer guy, I think he's going to try to fight Usyk on the inside. Sort of like he did with Wilder in the second fight, how he kind of smothered Wilder and fought him on the inside a lot. It was going to the body. He was making it real rough. I think Fury is gonna fight a really rough and tumble inside fight with Usyk, and he's gonna kind of muck it up. It may be a very ugly, unpleasant fight to watch, but I think Fury saw that 9th round. He saw how those body shots really affected Usyk, and he saw how every time Joshua hit him on the belt line, how he was complaining that the blows were low. I didn't think the blows were low. This is my opinion. But the ref stopped the fight anyways. And just because Usyk complained, and he stopped the action. So yeah, man, I think Tyson knows that this guy is very vulnerable to the body. No one likes it to the body, but this guy showed his hand. He wasn't poker faced about it. He showed us how he reacts to those body shots.
You done, man?
So when we're going over strategy for this fight,
yeah,
we're gonna tell him to go to the body.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go over the strategy for Usyk, man. That was a good one. That was a good breakdown, B's. But come on, man. I get the best breakdowns, man. Come on, man. So I mean, when it comes to Usyk versus Tyson Fury, man, I really think that Usyk's gonna be too much. Have you ever seen in your fucking life a heavyweight throw 700 punches in a fight? A heavyweight. Those are welterweight numbers. Okay? You got guys out here that's fighting Tyson Fury that's not even throwing 200 punches. Okay? That Dermack fight that you thought he lost, or that you thought some people said he might have lost.
I had it a draw.
He didn't throw nowhere near 700 punches. He didn't throw nowhere near 700. I watched that fight. I mean, you guys gotta understand. You guys gotta understand. Hold on. Come on, dude. I just let you rip, bro. Come on, man. So it's like, Usyk is one of those type of once in a generational type of talents, that can box and can fight with you, man, and will sit in that pocket like he did against Anthony Joshua. He didn't sit in that pocket for that long. I think once he throws his 3-4 punch combination and he's real close up to you, he might throw another set of combinations, or he might reset. He did a lot of resetting on that fight against Anthony Joshua in both of his fights. Anthony Joshua did not know how to, deal with that type of movement, and I think the same thing for Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, if I would say, man, Tyson Fury is slow with some of his reflexes, man. I'm gonna just be honest, man. He's getting older. I think Usyk's gonna catch, Tyson Fury at the right time. And another thing, nobody's talking about these 3 fights with Wilder were way more harder on Tyson Fury's body than 2 fights with Anthony Joshua for Usyk. Way more harder on his body.
Agreed.
Way more harder, man. So I don't want to hear this.
That's valid points.
I don't want to hear that shit, man. I don't want to hear that shit, man. Usyk is ready. Usyk is prime time. And just because a lot of you motherfuckers don't back him or don't believe in him doesn't mean he's not an A talent, And I just think that Usyk will win. I think he'll find a way to pull it out on points. And I think he'll beat Tyson Fury and become the first undisputed champion from the Ukraine with all 4 belts.
So what I was going to say is you made a good point about the pace and the volume of Usyk, because I just was pulling up. Again, we don't live and die by the punch stats, but
but pull them up.
Let me finish now. We don't live and die by the punch stats, but they have an accurate representation sometimes of how the fight went. They're not as flawed as sometimes we say they are. But what I'm saying is this. So in Wilder Fury, the first fight that went the distance, Deontay Wilder threw 430 punches and landed 71. Tyson Fury only threw 327 punches and landed 84. Usyk is throwing like 700 punches as a heavyweight. That's a fast pace. That's a lot of volume. So that
700 punches, you guys. I think you guys got to fathom that. You guys got to think about that.
So that
about that.
That pace, unless someone slows them down by going to the body, that pace could be a problem for anybody.
Anybody.
You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with that. That's a fast pace, man. It's a lot of punches.
Wow.
Let's look at those punch stats for Joshua Usyk, and let's just see, man. Let's see those punch stats, man. Because let me look here. Okay, so yeah, Usyk threw 712 punches and landed 170 of them.
He landed double the amount of punches that Wilder landed on Fury. Come on, double. Over
and
double.
Joshua threw 492 punches and landed 124 of them, right? So that's 492 punches is it's okay. I mean it's pretty much in line with what a heavyweight throws, but when you got a guy
average, man, that's just average.
No, that's below. It's about average. But when it's about average. But when you got a guy, you got a guy throwing 712 punches,
above average.
That's
in his own world.
That's a lot of punches, man.
I think Usyk for any heavyweight that I've seen fight the elite top fighters, and these are in championship fights. I think Usyk has the most punches thrown in multiple championship fights, multiple, okay? Because he threw a lot in the first fight too, and he threw a lot in the second fight. He threw over 1,000 punches in both fights, over 1,000 punches, you guys, in 2 fights, closer to 1,400. In 2 fights, 1,400 punches have landed on Joshua's fucking face. Maybe not all of them, some grazing, some, like I said, punch stats. I think some of the landed ones are a little off as well. But it give you a roundabout, where it's at. But I think some of the landed, are different, especially for Usyk. Usyk, he might hit you with a grazing jab and it really not affect you. Do they even count that? You know what I mean? You got to understand with the show box and stuff like that. With the box stats. I just think that CompuBox. I just think that, you know, they're a little off at sometimes, but I think that they got it right with the 700 or more. It could have been closer to 800. Because he was throwing every second of almost every second of the round, man. I mean, you know, like you said, Joshua had that good round, and was it round number 8 or round number 9? He had that good round. Joshua had that good round, but Usyk came right fucking back and took the next round from him completely.
See, now the funny thing about this fight is, you know, some people had it close, some people had it wide. But when you ask people for their scorecards, everyone has different scorecards. Like no one has the identical 7 or 8 rounds that they scored for Usyk. Like everyone's scorecard has differences in it. Like I'm looking at Boxing Scene, how they scored the fight. They gave the first round to Usyk. I think most people gave the first round to Usyk. Most people gave the second round to Joshua. They gave the third round to Usyk. I gave the third round to Wilder. They gave the fourth round to Usyk, the fifth round to Usyk. They gave the sixth round to Joshua. I gave the sixth round to Usyk. They gave the seventh round to Usyk, and they gave the eighth round to Joshua. I gave the eighth round to Usyk. They gave the ninth round to Joshua. Everyone gave the ninth round to Joshua. And then they had 10, 11, and 12. They gave to Usyk. Some people say, oh, like Usyk won the last 3 rounds. I get that, but do you think the 12th round was close? Do you think the 12th round could have gone to Joshua? Because one judge gave it to Joshua. I actually gave the 12th round to Joshua, and the one judge
gave the 12th round to Usyk. I thought he almost stopped Joshua.
Do you think it was impossible to give that 12th round to Joshua, or what do you think on that? Because some, you know, a lot of people are saying.
I think Joshua was gassed. I guess. Okay. I think he was winded. I think just like in the first fight, he could have possibly got stopped. And I think Usyk, man, he really took it easy. I ain't gonna say he took it easy on him, man, but I think Usyk could have stopped him, man, in the second fight and in the first fight. I mean, he looked terrible in the 12th round in the first fight. And in the second fight, it wasn't too, I mean, he didn't look as bad as he did in the first fight in the 12th round because he literally almost got stopped. He couldn't even breathe at the end of that fight. He, you know, in the post-fight, you know, people came around, he was still gasping for air. You know, and in the second fight, he was winded as well, man. He was winded. And he said it in the post-fight press conference. He said it's pretty much it's difficult to keep up with a guy like Usyk that's moving around so much. He said, I'm a heavyweight. I'm the new breed. He said, I'm the new breed of heavyweights. You know, the bigger, stronger, you know, but just because you're bigger and stronger, Usyk just showed you that just because you're bigger and stronger doesn't always mean you're better. Yeah. Doesn't always mean you're better, baby. Because listen, flow like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Muhammad Ali said that, you know? And what he meant by that is he doesn't want to get hit, man. He's not trying to get hit, and Usyk wasn't trying to get hit either. And he didn't get hit that many times. You know, you didn't see Usyk in a whole bunch of, you know, gasping for air in the 12th round and, you know, barely could, you know, survive the fight. I think Usyk could have did a 15-rounder, man. He's a throwback fighter. Man. I knew Usyk was different when I seen what the fuck he was doing in his training. It starts in your training. When I seen he was doing shit that I have never even done in the gym, I said, this dude's a heavyweight doing this shit? And this was a calisthenic type shit, man. Body weight shit. And I was just like, wow, man. Usyk's gonna be a problem, bro. Like for any of these guys at heavyweight, man. I mean, for real, man. He's training with Lomachenko. You know how crazy Lomachenko goes in the gym, you guys. Usyk is training right beside him. Sometimes beating him in some of the you know, face-offs that they do in the gym. You know, some of the, you know, not sparring, but you know, some of the gym workouts. You know. I mean, they do competitive shit out there, man. And they used to train at the Robert Garcia over there in the Oxnard. You know, a lot of people don't know that. Him, Usyk, Lomachenko, and Gvozdyk. Before Gvozdyk lost to Beterbiev, like I called again. That was another one I called. You know, Beterbiev to win that fight. You know, so it's just like you guys got to understand. And key fact, too, you guys, Beterbiev is still undefeated, and Beterbiev is one of the only guys that beat Usyk and dropped him with a body shot. So I mean, I'm just saying, man. I mean, if you really want to go to the nitty gritty, Bees, I mean, I could bring it all the way back for you. You know what I mean? You know, but yeah, Beterbiev. I really want to see Beterbiev at heavyweight, man. I really would love to see that, man. I'm sorry, man. I know I'm kind of switching it up a little bit, but Better Beef is still undefeated, Beef. Nobody's even, I feel like nobody's came close to beating him yet. He's annihilated every guy he's been in the ring with. He's knocked out every single opponent. He's still the only fighter in the world of boxing that has a 100% knockout ratio. Okay? I want to see that motherfucker at heavyweight, man. I want to see what Better Beef can do at heavyweight, man. He's just pretty much bullying the shit out of those guys at light heavyweight. I mean, it's a cheat code that he can make 175. It's a cheat code, and it's just like, what could he do at heavyweight? Where all of the money's at, where all of the fame, where all of the eyes are at, the heavyweight division,
Got you.
I don't know, man. It's something to think about.
Well, Corey, I want to thank you for coming on. I think I'm going to wrap this up because I got some stuff to take care of today. But
all right, man. All right, y'all.
Thank you for joining me, man. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Until next time, Beeb is out. Make sure you check out the roundtable tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be on my channel. We got some great guest panelists. We got the Mighty Ring IQ. We got Lady Chan coming on. We got some other people coming on. So make sure you join us tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time here on the roundtable, man. We're going to talk more about this Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk thing, and we're going to talk more about Tyson Fury as well. So peace out, everyone. Have a great one. Be good.